I'm going to be upfront with you. I should be doing either my idol roundup for this season, or Magatsu Warhite, or Moriarty the Patriot, since they start with M and it is March. But Persona 5 Strikers just came out, so I will probably be focusing on beating that. So I plan to do series with dubs, so I can have those on while I'm working on other stuff. Also, Moriarty the Patriot's second season is coming out next anime season, so I might as well just wait for that to wrap up. But today, we'll be covering Kodaka's new series, Akudama Drive. For those who don't know, Kodaka is most well known for his Danganronpa series. I enjoy those games, but to say that it was for the story is giving them a bit too much credit. That's not to say that Kodaka is a bad writer, or writes stories just to kill off his characters in interesting ways, but he does take to that topic with great enthusiasm, to say the least. But this series takes place in the distant future, after the Kansai and Kanto prefectures had a big old war, leaving Kanto in a supposed ruin, but turning it into a religious site where people can find everlasting peace, but they can never leave. But crime still exists in Kansai, and criminals are now known as Akudamas, and given rankings based on how much of a public nuisance they are. The most dangerous of these are S ranks. But someone has just hired 4 of the most dangerous S ranks to break out the most notorious S rank of them all, a Akudama named Cutthroat, who is currently about to be executed by officials. Each of them is named after their mode of operandi, or a character trait. The guy who likes to brawl is called Brawler, the hacker is Hacker, the courier is Courier, and the lady who likes to dissect people is called Doctor. This naming process goes for everyone in the series, and whether you think that's stupid is up to your own personal biases. But after they succeed, they're immediately hired for a second heist, and by hired, I mean they're wearing a lovely necklace from the Bomb Lover monthly. But this group of 5 has now turned into 7. While one of these is just some random hoodlum who broke out in the chaos, looking for an easy payday, the other is a perfectly ordinary girl, so far out of her depths that she is losing it. So our ordinary person must figure out how to make this heist go off without a hitch, and make sure not to reveal that she is not a Akudama, so she doesn't end up dead. But things get more complicated once the Executioner Squad catches wind of this heist, and they're looking to do their job. But it wouldn't be a Kodaka story if there aren't a few more twists to this tale. Spoiler warning for those who care, the cargo is a pair of kids who seem to be immortal, looking to escape their fate as tributes to Kanto. These kids have lost knowledge and are highly sought after by both the government and the executioners, putting our protagonists in a huge game of cat and mouse as they try to deliver these kids to their destination so they can make their escape. Now, before I get to my complaints, I will give a compliment. This series is very stylish. The series has some great fights and knows how to add nice details in both the lighting and variety of locations. The only real blemish is the black bars used for censoring that pop up on the initial run that Studio Pierrot gave to Funimation. I understand why they had to do this, and it's not in any way influencing my grade of the series. This is an issue that will be immediately fixed in the uncut release, which should be coming pretty soon. But my biggest complaint is that this series is overwritten in general. By this, I mean that there's just so many parts of the story that just have way too many details, or just have points just packed in there. From something simple as a fight, to significant plot points. For example, Brawler is fighting an executioner named Master. They initially fight their way into an abandoned arcade to show off that cool lighting. They switch to a character to give exposition, and now they're fighting next to a Ferris wheel. Now they're on a bridge and it's raining. Okay, first off, yes, this fight is rad as all hell. However, none of this is established in the previous shot of the area. You may say, yeah, it's a bit random, but a cool fight's a cool fight. Maybe, but I think either establishing the route of the fight or designing it on one location for the majority of it could have resulted in a better fight. Like, imagine a full fight with the arcade lighting, or the creativity of fighting around the Ferris wheel. Again, this is all my opinion, but it's something to consider. As for the plot points, there's a lot that muddles the message of the series, and that's even if I'm right and that the series is about the question of who's in the right, as the 2 kids are being used as living memory for a computer that stores all the people who go to Kanto, in a state of everlasting peace. Also, to make these kids immortal, they had to sacrifice like 5,000 kids. So yeah, it's easy to see that the people who made them are in the wrong, and the executioners ensuring that this happens are equally in the wrong to force these kids to sacrifice themselves. That is, if assuming that this religious part of the Kanto thing is as corrupt as the government behind them. If it isn't, it's kinda muddled, but we don't get a lot of those details. On the opposite side, we have the Akudamas. Sure, some of those Akudamas like Brawler have some morals, but a lot of these Akudamas, like Courier, are mostly immoral. They don't really care who they help, as long as they get paid. You also have Akudamas like Cutthroat and Doctor, who get their kicks off killing people. So neither side is fully in the right, and you can do a lot with this. The issue here is that we mix in the leader of the executioners being like, you know what, I'm tired of just killing criminals, I want full control while I'm at it. I'm just sick of all these people rioting that we aren't doing our job and get rid of these Akudamas. You know what, they're the Akudamas, let's massacre them. Ha 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 ha. And yeah, you can do this point, but you throw out all the morality of the executioners, and that throws off the balance. This is already on top of the usual subterfuge that goes into a Kodaka's work. So of course there's a traitor, the facts that the protagonists believe are wrong, and we gotta do a loss of innocence spot, so we can do some Christ symbolism, and that's a lot to squeeze in. But as much as I complain, I can't bring myself to say that this series is bad. There's some charm in this blessed mess. There's a lot of cool fights and scenes, even if they're strung together with some very loose string. This turns the series into a sort of a Rorschach test. Maybe the strings are strung well enough for you, and these parts make a very pretty picture, but it can just as easily be the opposite, and make the series one giant mess. If you're already a fan of Kodaka's previous work, like action and series that are happy to spill some blood, this is probably up your alley. But those looking for something more straightforward will probably not find the series all that entertaining. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go back to Persona 5. No, not that one.